is Amberlyn with Urban Isla. It is 2 o'clock and we are going to do our first Paint With Me Friday. I will give people just a few minutes to get online because I am prompt right at 2, and I know it's the middle of the day, so people may be changing plans or it's busy, it's summer. So I know I have had multiple people reach out to me and ask if this is going to be posted and saved for later, and the answer is yes, because I know not everyone can just drop what they're doing in the middle of the day to get online. I get that. So yes, this will be posted so you can get online and rewatch it if you want to. So for those of you who are online, thank you for joining us. We are going to start painting today. Yay, I have been dying to get into this dresser. It has been sitting here and teasing me as I've been doing other things because I just can't wait to get it done. But before we get started, you might notice that it looks a little different than it did last time when I announced that we were doing this. So I do want to just kind of go over what I did to change it. As you're getting on, say hello, let me know you're here, tell me where you're from, and if you have any questions, let me know. I will try and read them. I will probably be putting my readers on in a minute, but let's jump into this and we will get going. So if you notice here, if you can see, if not, let me know, I have added all of those molds that I was talking about. The mold that I was working on last time. So the faux bamboo molds from Iron Orchid Design. I coated it with my cornstarch, and then I used my plaster of Paris. And y'all, I made, oh my gosh, I made probably 50 of each, the small and the big bamboo. I had originally planned to put the small ones here and then the large ones here, and when I got all of them made, it was just going to be too much and too busy, and so I scratched the small ones, and I have plans for them for something else. So, but I have my little corner pieces up here so they connect, so it looks like it actually came on the dresser. And I laid the dresser flat. I laid it down on its back so that the pieces would actually stick and not just slide off. It actually took me some trial and error to figure that out. I'm a little embarrassed to say that. That's okay. I took my tacky glue, which it's tacky, y'all. If you haven't used it, it sticks like no one's business. But I just took it, stick it on the back, slid it all the way down, and held it on for a few seconds, and then moved on to the next piece. It worked like a charm, but these didn't line up exactly equal, so I had to shave some of them down, piece them in, and then I just used a little bit of mud just to fill in the spots, make them a little smooth so that you couldn't really tell where I had to piece them. So the molds are on. So I now have a little more coastal looking of, oh, hello there, how are you? Let me put my glasses on. Hello, thank you so much. I love the octopus too. Yes, octopi are my absolute favorite of really any creature other than dogs. But the dresser, we're gonna go. The dresser itself was very plain, very boring, just a square. And so I wanted to do something to add to it to make it a little more interesting, a little more coastal. Hence the paper, hence the molds. So the molds are on. You also might notice the bright pink and purple splotches all over the dresser. So I talked last time, or when I introduced, that we were going to be playing with some salt wash. So I got my salt wash. I got a nice big canister of it. And if you haven't seen it before, I will go ahead and show you what it looks like. It is just this really fine, powdery. It almost looks like dishwashing detergent. It has some little blue stuff in it. And so you take this cup, and I just got a little container, and you mix your paint in with the cups, the little scoops worth. And it makes this goopy little mixture. And you take a spatula or you take a scraper and you just glob it on in different places. You kind of smear it out, and I mix the colors, and then you just ignore it. And we're just going to ignore it for now. It will come back into play later. Why did I do this? Because for me, as much as I love blue, an entire dresser of just blue was going to be a lot for me. Maybe for some people that would be fantastic. For me, it would be too much. So I wanted some little pops of other colors in there. And I like pink. And I think purple goes really well with pink. So that's what I chose. So we are going to ignore these for right now. But, and you probably can't tell, I'll take some pictures of it and I'll post it. It gives it just this really nice, funky texture that when you rub your hands over it, it feels good. I'm a tactile person, so it feels really good. And it looks very random where I put it, but that's okay. It will make sense as we go on. Okay, so we are going to move into the fun part. We are going to start painting. We are going to start shading, blending, doing all of that really fun stuff. All right, so let's talk about what we have, what we need, what we're going to use. I've had a few people message me questions beforehand that maybe we'll go ahead and address right now. One of the questions I got was, how do I pick my papers? Why do I choose the papers I do? And I will say when I first started out, I chose paper specifically because I thought, well, this paper will sell. Most people will love this paper. This is the most popular paper on their site. It will appeal to the most people. And I will be very honest and say that that was harder for me to produce a very good, well, hello, hi Jill, thank you for jumping on. Picking a paper in that way was very difficult for me to produce a quality piece for me because I wasn't creating for myself. So now when I'm looking at choosing papers, I pick things that speak to me, things that I love, that I have an emotional reaction to, and that I would just enjoy painting. So, like I said, love the octopus. I love the octopus. Any octopus paper is going to speak to me. I will probably buy it. I am a sucker for it. Am I going to have a whole line of octopus? No. Will I have a whole drawer of octopus papers? Yes, I absolutely will. So, I chose the octopus paper. Now I have to choose the paint that goes with it. I find the darkest shade that's in the paper first, and I pick that paint because that's going to be my base color. So deep navy is going to be what is my base, what I use the most. You see I covered the whole thing in white. Why did I do that? That makes the paper pop. That brings out all of those colors. That just makes it shine. I painted the rest of it white because I want all of my colors to be consistent in that way. So, deep navy, first color. What other colors do we see in there? We see a really bright, gorgeous blue, just this cobalt, beautiful blue. So I actually have this beautiful Catalina blue. So we'll be using that a lot too. And then all of these other shades, dark to light, we will be blending in. Hello, hi. What do you see? I love, oh, thank you, Jill. I love the pink and purple too. I can't wait to see it just kind of pop out. That's what I'm most excited about. So I have my light colors here. I have some kind of more funkier green colors here that we're gonna blend in and play with, and an actual green that we're gonna play with. Now, Jill, you've done this octopus. Are there any tips and tricks that you can share that maybe might help us along the way before we get started with this? Because your piece was absolutely stunning. It was gorgeous. It was blended exceptionally, like all of your pieces are. Anything you want to share? Maybe. Jill, hello. Okay. Deep navy. Get you a mister. And then I always pick the second color that's down here, which is this cobalt. So I have my deep navy. Fiber paper is kind of different. It is. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. So this is a Prima paper. And if you haven't worked with a fiber paper before, it does have a different texture. I wish I had another, oh, okay. So I do have this other paper sitting over here, and it has more of like a waxy feeling to it. Cutting it along the edges, just go slow. Very smart. Yep. You can't, oh, I hit it. I hit it. Up here, I ripped it as I was cutting it because it tore. And it does not cut as cleanly as some of the other papers. I prefer working with the fiber papers. I like the thickness of them, but they are a little tricky, I think, in taking the paint. When you're blending over them, they have, they're thirsty. Hello, Susan. They're thirsty, so you have to go over them a few more times. You did make it. Thank you for getting on here. This paper, most papers are a little waxy and very smooth. I'm impatient, so didn't do that. And it goes fuzz or whatever. Yep, but it's definitely a good way if you don't want wrinkles. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. I am still learning how to get the papers completely smooth. I am not perfect at it. It's a nightmare for me sometimes with some papers. But these go on so smooth, even the folding wrinkles come out. But Jill is 1000% right. Painting over them and blending into them, they do get little fuzzy balls on them. So you do have to work with that, and for me, that's where the spray bottle comes in, and you can get them out. You just have to work a little bit harder at it. Okay, are we ready? Everyone have their paintbrushes, or are we just gonna watch me paint? Okay, yeah, probably. All right, so let's get out. You iron mine at the end most time. That helps too. Okay, Jill, what about top coat first? Okay, that's a good question, Susan. Watching today, Susan. Okay. First, Jill, what do you iron? What do you put over your paper when you iron it? Do you use parchment paper? Do you use like one of those silicone pads? I've heard different things. I use parchment paper. Okay, it may lay down the fibers. So I use Mod Podge every time and parchment paper. I do the same thing. I'm cheap. Well, with the amount that we go through it, Mod Podge is the only way to go. I buy it by the gallons when I can get it, especially when Amazon has it on sale. So to answer your question, Susan, yes. So it works. Yeah, 1,000%. It works like a charm. You know exactly what you're getting. Yes, I agree. Susan, I always apply with Mod Podge, and then I always coat with Mod Podge over the top. Never once has it failed me. I agree. I have, when I first started, I tried using something I saw online with like a combination of a clear coat or like a tacky glue type thing, and oh my gosh, I think I had like a paper mache type result mess. I mean, it was just a rock hard disaster of a paper. So needless to say, that was all scraped off. I had to order another paper, resand the cabinet doors. It was a mess. So I don't do that. Does Mod Podge reactivate when you paint? No, I have never had it do that. No, it kind of, for me, and Jill, you may have different experience. For me, it just kind of soaks into the paper and gets it a little extra barrier. I had someone scare me that it yellows over time. No. Yeah, you've done many more pieces than I have. The only thing I've ever had yellow on me is lacquer, and that was on white, and I will never use lacquer. Again, it's a pain in the butt to use, and why mess with it if it's just going to end up ruining your pieces? Yeah, so no, Mod Podge, hands down. I will totally hawk Mod Podge and Floetrol if you're doing just a plain flat piece, which I don't do anymore because they're boring. I don't enjoy them, so please don't ask me to do them. People, I don't like them. Okay, let's try and do this. I think maybe their piece bled through. Oh, okay. Let's talk about bleed through real quick because that's really important. I just had this happen to me, and it creates so much extra work. These pieces were real light. They weren't maple. I don't know what they were. It wasn't a real high quality wood. But the buffet I just did, that coastal buffet, I sanded it, I primed it, I treated it with a good primer, y'all, a good primer. I put my paper on with my Mod Podge, my no-fail Mod Podge, and my primer failed me. Not my Mod Podge. My primer failed me, and yes, the one you want, Susan. I told you it could be yours. I have the shipper. I have everything. You just need to let me know where I can send it, and I'll send you my PayPal. It can be yours anytime you want. It bled through. All of those tannins in the wood came right through, and I love that paper so much. I love the piece, and so it created weeks of work for me because I essentially had to repaint the paper on the piece. I don't know, different projects for different folks. I wouldn't knock it until I tried it on my own. You wouldn't knock what, Jill? I want that piece, though. Jill, that's an incredible compliment. Thank you. I want to be you when I grow up, Jill. You're like goals. So sometimes it works. You hated that paper? Oh, thank you. How could you? I can't see, y'all. I'm blind, so that's why I'm leaning in and out. Mod Podge. Oh, thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. You know what's really funny, y'all? I'll tell you a secret because it's just us here. I was making that piece for myself to go upstairs in my foyer. I have like a whole coastal beachy thing up there because I want to live at the beach, and I didn't like the way it turned out. It didn't turn out the way I had envisioned it to turn out for myself, so that's why I'm selling it. How crazy is that? I love the way it turned out in general, but it was not what I wanted for myself. So crazy, right? Yeah. So maybe this one will turn out the way I want, because this is the next thing that maybe will go up there. We'll see. Who knows? But tannins are just a pain in the backside. Sometimes you can do everything right and you still have to deal with them. But my advice is just anytime you have that dark wood, old wood, just don't skimp on your prep. Honestly, never skimp on your prep, but set yourself up right and try to avoid having to hand paint a paper, because it was fun, but try to avoid it at all costs. Okay. Paint. You can use any paint you want, but it does make a difference. And I know all of you on here know that, but a good quality paint makes a difference. The pink is my new favorite pink in the world. It's the Pink Couture, I can't even remember the name of it, Polynesian pink, of course. No, I wanted more. Susan cracked me up. It's amazing. It's like butter. Absolutely need to get more of their paint. But my good friend Judith turned me on to mud paint, and I've been using it because I have a ton of it now. And if you can get past the smell, it really works. It works fantastic too. It's a little thick, so because you hand painted it, you're so sweet. It's a little thick, so I water it down some, but we're gonna go with it. All right, so here we go. Y'all ready? And it feels really quiet in here because I normally have music just blaring as I'm painting. So do y'all listen to stuff, or is it silent? What do you normally have going on for you when you're working? I'm shocked my dogs aren't down here. Actually, I locked my two girls upstairs. I never use that paint. I hadn't either, but it smells like wet mud. Literally is what it smells like. And some of the colors smell stronger than others. But the first time I opened it, I was like, oh my gosh, this paint is bad, it is foul, but it's not, and it doesn't dry stinky, it dries just normal, but the whole buffet was done, and minus a couple pieces. So, okay, so here is, I say so a lot, here's the deep navy, if I don't spill it on my rug, and then here is this Catalina blue, which I'm kind of obsessed with this Catalina blue. We're gonna start, excuse me, I am the messiest painter in the world, so I always have a towel with me. I actually have an apron that I typically wear, but since I'm sitting on the ground, I thought that would be a little weird. So, all right, I'm gonna start down here in this corner, and you can see right here is the darkest part, so that's where I'm gonna start with the deep navy, and then I'm gonna bring the Catalina down here. I don't wanna get into the tentacles because I don't wanna have to try and paint those. I can draw an octopus, but I really don't want to have to repaint those. What did you say? Is it clay based? Yes. It is. What does it say? It doesn't say right here. it is clay based. I was going to see if it had any specific stuff on it, but I can look it up and I can let you know. Okay, I don't know why I took those off. Okay, so tap your brush out. I always tap them out because I always end up with extra bristles in mine. Okay, ready? Here we go. It does reactivate with water. It does reactivate with water. Okay, I don't put a lot on to begin with. All right. Yay, here we go. And I am just painting over all of this salt wash. And you'll see why later in the project. And we'll just blending. Susan, what is the most favorite piece you've done? I'm going to bring you closer so I can read. And you can see better. Okay. What's the favorite piece? It is a zebra brush. I love my zebra brushes. And I use the same brush for all of my colors, just because, one, I don't have to clean up as much, and two, it helps me with the blending. And I know that they kind of look similar, but when this blue dries, look, now you can see it better, it is super bright. It is just a gorgeous bright blue. Let's see. My contest one, or beachy buffet. All gauges painted. All hand painted? Okay, I'm going to need to see pictures of those. Okay, so you see how I can still see through here? So it's obviously going to take a second coat, right? That's okay. No worries. So this is where your color story comes in. You don't want to take the blue, the dark blue all the way up. You want to start blending in your light blue. And you don't want to just leave this color story, this cobalt blue here. You're gonna, there's a little bit of green. I should have grabbed a little bit of green paint. Maybe we'll just use this over here. How do you open up your hard paint cans, Susan? So one of the other questions that someone asked me, that they had DM'd me, was how I pick the paper for the piece, or how do I decide what I do on the piece. And I had this really cool guy come over on Saturday to buy some paint from me, and he is just starting out. His name is Chris Gray. He is going to make some really cool stuff, y'all. He has some ideas that hit with my hand, turn it upside down if it's on the top. Yep, I agree. I also sometimes run it under hot water, and that works really good. But I don't have water down here, so I can't do that here. But Chris was asking, since he was starting out, what are the processes? You know, what is my thought process going into all of it? And it reminded me of this question that this person asked me too. And I will answer this question in the same way, that I don't buy a piece. I don't buy a piece unless I have a plan for it, a general plan. You know, when I bought this, I didn't know that I was going to put octopus paper on it, but I knew I wanted it. I knew I was going to put a decoupage paper on it. I knew it was going to be blended. I knew in general what I was going to do. So then when I see a paper that I really like, I think, oh, okay, well that will go with this dresser. I don't know. I don't have a specific process that I can be like, oh, well this is exactly how to do it. It's more just a feeling. What about you, Susan? No, so I don't. I just kind of get a base layer on to cover it in, then to see where I want the blends to actually be. So you blend as you go? Is that what you do? How do you choose what goes on each piece? I do because I'm weird. You know what? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends what I'm feeling right at that moment. Like now it starts getting into kind of the blending. And you can see how once we add that light color in, it really starts making a difference. And when I first started doing this, I really thought the dark colors would be the most powerful colors. What I found is it's the light colors that really are strong. So that's why I always start with my dark colors first, because your light colors will overpower them. And there's all different types of techniques that you can do. On the beach buffet that I did smooth strokes because I wanted it to be a smoother piece. Here I want it to have more texture, so I'm doing more of a stippling movement with my brush. So I want it to have that kind of earthy movement, not flat. I want it to have a raised feeling on it, if that makes sense. Let's see. New papers inspire me. Jill inspires me. Jill inspires everyone, right? She's just incredible. Bianca G. I don't know who Bianca G is. Who's Bianca G? Tell me about her. I'm gonna have to check her out. Make sure when you're doing this that you don't forget to bring it all down. You don't want it just in one area. And if you end up with a little blank spot, just fill it in. I tend to paint off my lids a lot so that I'm not having to dip my brush into the full paint jar. Lotus Theory. Okay, I will have to go check her out. I also like to, this is probably why I'm always such a mess too. I use a more dry brush instead of such a fully wet with the paint. Okay, so right here, you can kind of start to see how this mix is coming together. But right here was that, can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Right here was where the salt wash was. So you can see where that texture is really starting to come in. And you can see how the bamboo is just kind of blending in with the rest of the piece. What do you think? You like it? So smart. All right, so if we keep going this way, I'll need to add more colors. So we're gonna come back over here. Thank you. All right, Susan, how are you feeling? You have been sick, my friend. Better. Good. Good. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so something else that I do that is maybe right, maybe wrong, I don't know. I am certainly not holding myself up here as any expert at this at all, or professional, or that I know all the tips and tricks. But what I don't like to see in my pieces are, oh, hey, I blended all of the outside and the inside is obviously a paper. I just personally don't like that look. So, yep, I already have paint all over my leg. Go figure. I always try to take my blend inside the paper just a little bit. So right here is a really nice dark piece, and there's some green in here. So I will take just a little bit of my deep navy. I will dry off my brush, and then I will just blend it in here just a little bit. And then I will take a little bit of my cobalt. I will dry it off, and then I will blend this in here. Now remember, the cobalt wet looks dark just like the navy, but it dries different. And then I will take a little bit of this jade, dry it off, and then I will just add a little bit of it up here. And then, messy. Then I take my spray bottle, and instead of spraying the paper, I spray my brush, dry it off a little bit, and then I blend it. I blend it all in. So, is it the same original blend? No, but, and I'm not finished with it, but it gives this part the same texture and depth as this part. So it doesn't look like, it all looks like one piece. It all looks like one painting. I will probably, when I really get into it, I'll take some white and I'll go in here with like a detail brush, and I'll take some blue and go in with a detail brush, just because I want it to look cohesive. Is that a lot of extra work? Yes. Do I love it? Yes, I do. So that's just how I attack my papers and my work. So down here, I'll do the same thing. So I'll spray my brush, and I'll just kind of wet it, and I'll just kind of come in here, and I'll just kind of smooth it out so it's one color instead of 3 different ones down here. And this white is driving me crazy because it keeps coming through. So I need to leave it alone until it dries. Nice. It is diluted. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So this over here I need to come back to, and I just keep playing with it. I just keep playing with it. And this, you can see it, Susan. This right here, how it's really close up to the tentacle, I don't want to use the big brush on because then I'll be all up in it and I'll mess it up. So I will get a detail brush and I will use a detail brush on that. Yeah, this is getting me fits today, of course. So I will let this dry so I can come back to it later. So we did the dark, which I will finish. I will finish at another time. Let's play with some light, shall we? Because the light is a whole total different, same concept, just a different look. Okay, I will get a different brush for the light. Nope, I don't want to lose it. Okay, so I'm putting my dark brush away. I should talk about this real quick. Okay. I have 2 different shapes of brushes. And I don't know if this is the right way or the wrong way, but this is what I have found works best for me. Okay? So this is what I use to apply the color. It's the round brush, it's what I use for my stippling, it's what I was using just right here. It's, like I said, this is what works for me. Is it the right way? Is it the perfect way? I don't know. So don't take what I'm saying as gospel. I can see how easy it would be to, yes, yes, it would be. If you get in there too much, the tentacle would just be gone. So like right, well, you can't see it maybe, right in here especially would be really difficult, so you don't want to lose that. Okay, so the round brush, this is what I use to do this, and it, again, my way. So this is what I use when I do the flat brush at the top, when I do the really smooth blending. So this is what I would use to do all of my dry brushing with. So when I spray the brush and I just want to do the really smooth lines and smooth everything out, like on the coastal piece, I had one of these going, and then I had another one of these going. That was my wet brush, my wet brush, and then I would dry it off to make sure it wasn't, I would honestly go like this because I'm such a mess. I would dry it off to make sure it stayed dry because I didn't want paint on it. I wanted the water on it, and I wanted to be able to drag it through the paint. Does that make sense at all? Okay, all right. So let's get a round brush, blending brush. Yeah, probably. You know what? That's probably what it's called. And I'm just making it more difficult. Okay, so let's start moving up into here, and we'll work on this blending into these colors. So I have all of these. Ooh, we only have a few minutes. Okay, I have all of these fun lighter colors. So what happens if you don't have this color? Can you see it? Yeah. What happens if you don't have this color? That can be a pain. You could go out and buy it, right? But what if you have like 8,000 other colors of blue, but you don't have this one color? Well, you make it. You just figure it out. So you bring in some white paint. You bring in your blue, your bright blue. You bring in some other light color blues. and you just work with it until you get a color that you like that is, mix it, yes, until you are happy with it. This is your piece. Did the designers at Prima do a phenomenal job? Absolutely. If you don't get the colors exactly right once you've purchased it at home and you're designing it, are the designers going to come and yell at you? No. It is now yours. It is yours to be 1,000% creative with. So, I am going to open. Oh, it opened. Yay. That. I am going to open my white, and I am, to be perfectly honest, unless I am doing a stark white piece for a client, which, again, I really don't like doing, so please don't ask me. I like to use a white that has just a little bit of gray in it. I just think it blends a little bit better with other colors. So this one has just a little bit of gray in it, and I'm going to use this jade. Maybe I'm definitely going to use the Catalina, and we're going to try this Harbor. I don't know. What colors would you mix with it, Susan? Would you put some of the navy in it? Okay, that one smelled really strong. Like, knocked me over strong. I'm having a blue party over here. A blue party. Okay, I'm gonna go back in and just refresh this navy a little bit because it has gotten just a little dry, which is not a bad thing, but I don't know why I take my glasses off and think that I can see, because I obviously can't. Because you want them to blend in with each other, right? Okay, yep. See you in a second, Susan. Okay. And then I am going to add a little bit of this. Just to kind of start the transition over here. And then, so one of the other questions that I had was, oh, Jill, thank you. I appreciate that. We're just about to blend. Not a sea glass too green. Yep, I agree with that. Was why I got into painting furniture in the first place. And, you know, I don't know, maybe some people are, but I am certainly not providing for my family by painting furniture. So it was definitely not to put food on the table, although how amazing and awesome would that be? But I have always been a creative person, always. It was typically in the past, though, in a more like dance, coaching, teaching, interior design type fashion. And so when we moved into this house, our style completely changed. Well, my style completely changed. My husband would still have this house full of like the big heavy wood 1990s furniture. He's super supportive, but I do think he thinks I've lost my mind just a little bit, which is okay. That's okay. We're all just a little crazy. And I painted a piece of furniture, which is that little blue end table with the gold handles, and I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I could totally do this. And I started painting all kinds of other things in the house. And my poor husband was like, why don't you start buying some pieces and painting those instead of painting all of our furniture? And I did. And they started selling. And so here I am, just over a year later. And it brings me joy, y'all. I went through something in like 21, 22, and it was rough. It was rough. But it taught me the importance of finding your joy and then protecting your joy. And this brings me joy. Everything about it brings me joy. Even on the bad days when I come down here and everything I touch just turns to blech. I am still so thankful that I am able to do this, that God gave me the gift to be able to do this, that I have the ability to be down here doing this. So I am doing this now because I am happy. I am joyful. I enjoy it. I bought a lot of the previous owner's furniture, so I don't feel like it's me, but it's nice. Thank you, Susan. So Susan is transforming the previous owner's furniture in her home, which, wow, what a blessing to be able to have all of that previous furniture in her home. That would be incredible. And thank you, Susan. I coached for years. So I've taught, but just not this. When I told my husband that I was doing this, he looked at me and he's like, "Are you serious? Are you sure?" And I was like, I don't know what possessed me to get on and post the video saying I was going to do a live stream, because this is so out of my comfort zone, y'all. You just have no idea. Ooh, that turned out kind of pretty. I like that. You have no idea how out of my comfort zone this is. But we're just rolling with it. We're going with it. We'll figure it out, right? We will make it happen. Okay, so I have this beautiful mix of this green and light blue and dark blue and stuff over here. Now I have to figure out how to take it into there. So, should I just take it all in there, or should I keep working on trying to get that blue? What do you think? You're sweet, Susan. Thank you. I love you. I am... Oh. Let's see. Let's just go with it. Let's see what we can do here. Oh. Y'all, no joke, paint lid in my white paint, because it's just how we roll here. That's just what we're doing. We're just making a mess the whole way. Okay, we've got about 6 minutes left, because I promised I would keep it at an hour. So next week, next Friday, is the day after the 4th. So I'm wondering, Susan, are you going to be here? Or the brighter blue with the white? Good idea. Let's do that. Let's do that real quick. Let's try some of that. think next week I will be here. So 2 hours. You are so sweet. I can't promise that I am not going to work on this without y'all. Just because when I kind of get in a zone, look at that, Susan. It needs a little something. When I get in a zone, I kind of just start going. I need a lighter blue. I need a lighter blue. Yeah, I agree. And I may need to just grab some of my detail brushes. But most of them are upstairs because I am painting a chair upstairs. Where's my water bottle? Oh, there it is. I need that real bright, funky blue. And I'm just not getting it. I sprayed the paper. I know I told you I wasn't going to do that, but I did. And sometimes I just do when I'm really not happy with the result. I love the way my, you can dab with wet. Yep, and pull it back. You're right, I can. You're right, I can. But I may not want to. And the reason is because if I'm not getting that color here, I'm not going to get it anywhere. And I'm not going to go out and buy more paint because I already have more paint. Unless it fuzzes. Oh, this paper will fuzz. It absolutely will fuzz. 1,000%. So I may just end up working with what I thought. I may just end up working. I'm also looking sideways, which is a little awkward. How long do you work on a blend, Susan, before you get it right? Before you just love it? No, you don't. You don't need to hush at all. This is a collaboration. We are learning from each other. And see, now I can go back over this. And I find, you tell me if you find this too, Susan, the more covered my brushes get, the better I like the result. What do you think? Do you feel the same way? Okay, that's interesting. So I probably blend things to death.
would say that's probably my fatal flaw. I blend things to death. But I also think that this is what is the most fun.
All right. Here's where I'm cutting you off for the week. I tried oil once. Ooh, how did the oil go? Anything oil-based for me that I would have to clean up, no. That's just a hard no. Hard no. No. No, no, no. Okay, so this is where I'm cutting you off for the week. What I will finish here, out of sight, out of mind, is I am going to get a detail brush and I am going to blend in around all of these tentacles so that it looks like the octopus is part of the piece. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining me, ladies. Thank you, Jill, for jumping on. That's super incredible and very kind of you. And Susan, you are a rock star. Love you very much. Navia, thank you too. And this will be on replay. And next week, 2 o'clock, see everyone here. Have a wonderful weekend. Love y'all.